Hi guys, how are you? This is Venus Ethics, and we're going to be recording our last session for the class. That will be the one that we will have on March 31st. So welcome. Good ideas. I mean, it's a. I actually don't sure how to say this in English. It's a rado for babies. This is a traditional one from Ethiopia, made with palm tree. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so how are you guys? I hope you have some time to relax, at least with your family, friends, or by yourself to find yourself during Easter. Here we are in our. I honestly don't know which day of confining. I think it's a month now. No, it's like a full month. Still we have at least 15 more days to go. Most likely going to be another month. So yeah, things are going slowly. Apparently the cases are lowering down, so that's looking good. But we have to go little by little. I've been following the situation in the US as well. It looks quite concerning. So I hope you guys are safe and healthy, and your family and friends and everyone. Okay, but as I always say, definitely a great moment to be analyzed from the point of view of business ethics. For example, you remember that in this the beginning of these lessons we have been talking about the situation in the UK, how at the beginning Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that, well, let's get people sick if they had to get sick, but we won't stop the economy. Then he had to step back down. He stopped the economy. He closed the schools. At the end, he got coronavirus. He has been in the hospital and has been actually quite sick. So apparently he's admitting that maybe he was wrong in the first place. Public health would be something useful to have in a situation like this. So definitely, once again, from the point of view of business ethics, this is a lot to analyze. All right, so what are we doing here for our last session? I don't pretend to do a long session today, okay? I rather do a shorter, okay? If this was the original session that we will have for the 31st of March, probably I will have given you time here to finish your paper. So I'm going to try to respect that. So instead of the 1 hour long, like I normally do sessions, I'm gonna try to make it shorter this time, okay? If you remember in the last session, the last one that I uploaded before Easter, we were talking about chapter 7. We're talking about the ethical issues regarding employees. So we're gonna talk about a few more of those, okay? And yes, about some of them, I want to focus on some of them that they are either are interesting per se in this world, or others that I want to make a comment because they have become interesting in this particular situation that we are living right now. Okay, so that's why I'm gonna talk about those, and also I'm gonna make a little comments on this because this part here is gonna be quite related to the final exam that you are gonna have to do, right? As a final exam, it's not going to be a traditional exam. The final exam is going to be a case, like the ones that normally I ask you to do with your project group. Well, that's going to be that. Okay, it's going to be a case where you can use all the information that we have been covering during this second part of the semester, and I can give you a heads up on the case. Okay, it's going to be related to this idea of migrant workers and the context of globalization. So you can have like an overview of this situation that I think is a pretty good wrap up for the class, right? So that's why this part I want to talk a little bit about that. I won't ask you to do anything about it because what I'm going to ask you to do about it is actually going to be the final exam. So the other day, in the last session, we talked basically about this. We talked about the freedom from discrimination. I also remember you did the mapping exercise. I hope you guys enjoyed. It was I saw the one that you have been delivering, and they are pretty good. I hope that make you aware of the fact that even people from the same background, you're gonna find similarities, of course, but also differences when it comes to cultural preferences. The only way to take advantage of those differences is that you acknowledge them when you start working together. So that was cool. So today we're gonna talk a little bit about the right to privacy. We're gonna make a few comments about the right to do process. We're gonna talk a little bit about the right to freedom and the right of speech, okay? Especially when it comes to the idea of whistleblowing. Those are the ones that we're gonna focus on. There are others, but I'm gonna just skip them a little bit because, as I told you, I don't wanna do a long class, okay? And I just wanna focus on the ones that I think are more interesting for us right now. So let's start with the right to privacy. Let's talk a little bit about what all that means. Let's start with a little survey that I'm gonna ask you. So please answer true or false these questions. I feel sure there is only one true religion. My soul sometimes leaves my body. I believe in the second coming of Christ. I wish I were not bothered by some of it. I am very strongly attracted to members of my own sex. I have never indulged any. Wait. Don't do that. Okay. I mean, imagine how wrong this would be if I ask you this. It's not that I ask you this privately. It's I'm recording this and uploading it to YouTube. That's totally wrong, right? That's totally mixed up, and that sounds like something that shouldn't happen. Well, actually, not that long ago, these were the real questions of a pre-employment question form for the position of security guard at the one target store in California. In 1989. I mean, 1989, of course, is before your age, but you know, I was 7 back then, so it wasn't that long ago. I mean, at least not in my account. But I mean, today something like this could be totally against any kind of law and any kind of the idea of employee privacy. Totally a disaster. In different countries, there are going to be different legislation, different regulation about what is okay to ask in an interview or not. For example, resumes in the US are quite normal that they don't have a picture, right? I mean, you don't do a resume with a picture. Here in Spain, people do normally use picture, and you know how I receive interns in my company, and whenever I receive the emails, my workmates always ask me, where's the picture? It's like, I mean, it's normally in the US. They are always weird about it. Okay, I explain them that, well, it's a way to protect potential candidates from different kinds of discrimination. So you know, it's something that you shouldn't ask. Or for example, in Spain, the regulations say that when you are in an interview for a job, you shouldn't be asked about certain questions like, you know, your sexual preferences, if you are married, or if you are hoping to have a child, especially that's going to be a problem if you're a woman. You shouldn't be asked all of those questions. That doesn't mean that they are not asked in these processes, but it's the same thing that I told you with inside trading. The hard part here would be to prove it, that someone asks you those questions, except if it's in a written form through a WhatsApp or email or something. But if it's just talking, well, that's going to be complicated to demonstrate. But they shouldn't be asked. They shouldn't be asked to protect your privacy, also to protect you from the potential discrimination that could come from the idea that you want to have a kid, or that you have a fiancé, or you have a husband, or you have a wife that you're gonna affect your performance. Well, those questions shouldn't be asked. There are different types of privacy that we may want to protect: physical privacy, social privacy, informational privacy, psychological privacy. For example, psychological privacy, it is and it's kind of connected to this whole happiness industry that that is surrounding us these days. I don't know if in the US, I know a little bit in some sections on some businesses in the US that also have been affected by this happiness industry, but it is this idea that we always have to be happy, and if you are not happy it's because you are not trying enough, so you have to choose to be happy, right? Well, there have been cases, for example, in Thailand, there was a case of a company that was sued and the workers won, um, because in their code of ethics, okay, the regulation, they say that they had to smile at any given time when they were working. So the workers protest against that, and they won, because the right to not be happy is part of your psychological privacy that you want to protect, and you have that right. That you don't want to be happy, well, you don't have to be happy, all right? Physical privacy, social privacy. That is true that there is privacy, but you know that in this world, social privacy, especially informational privacy, it have been some developments, even in physical privacy, that are worth talking about from the point of view of business ethics. For example, let's take the idea of health and drug testing. And I told you that I wanted to make comments on some of the right that I think is interesting also right now. Well, mark my words that I'm saying that if this was somehow something that to make comments about and there were some doubts about it, the idea of health testing is gonna get a huge boost in this whole situation. All right, I mean, it's not crazy to imagine a situation in the near future. I'm talking about the next year, or at least until we get a vaccine for coronavirus. So it's not crazy to think about the future that you wanna grab a plane, for example, you're gonna have to pass a quick test to prove that you don't have coronavirus, or you're gonna have to show that that you are clean somehow. That's not crazy at all. To enter in a building, to enter in a plane, to go back to college, all of that. Okay, so definitely this idea, these ideas, or the ethical concerns about health and drug testing are quite relevant in the situation that we are living right now. So, to what extent is okay to test your employees, to test on their health, to test on if they have had drugs during the time that they were, the leisure time, okay, the time that they were home. I mean, because one thing is that you do drugs while you are working, it's going to affect your work. Well, that's a disaster. The same thing that you are drinking. No, you are drinking and working. Well, that's totally a problem. But here the problem, the concern is like how tolerable is to make tests that are going to trace if you have had drugs while you were doing your own business, because you know how some of those drugs are going to remain in the blood way longer than alcohol, for example. That at the end of the day is another kind of drug. So it's gonna be possible that during your weekend, your free time, if you did any kind of drug, it's gonna show in a test made during the week or even a month out in some cases. So how legitimate is that from the point of view of business ethics? This is a question that I would normally ask you in class, so I'm going to ask you that today as well. So I'm going to ask you to please go to Canvas and express your opinion on this idea. What's your opinion on health and drug testing? Especially you can, if you want to connect it with the situation right now, that would be something interesting to read about. And also, I want to present you guys, since we are in a situation that most of you guys have a lot of time to watch movies, I highly recommend that you watch this movie. This is probably one of my all-time favorite movie. It's a sci-fi movie, but it's this kind of sci-fi that is not that far in the future. All right, it's about a place that you go to study to be an interstellar pilot, but you don't ever see a you don't ever see a spaceship or anything like that, right? It's a kind of close future that discuss society where almost every children is born with their DNA modified, so they are healthy, so they don't have previous conditions, so they don't have health problems, so you can choose everything about the baby that you're gonna have. You can choose the color of the hair, the color of the eyes, etc, etc. Okay, so this is a story of a natural born child, is this guy, I don't remember the name, Ethan Hawke, sorry. Ethan Hawke is a natural born child that he dreams with being a pilot. However, when he goes for the first time to the place where he can be the pilot, they do a DNA test and they show all the potential illness that he could have because those illnesses weren't previously treated while he was a fetus. Okay, he was getting born. So he decides to use the identity of this guy, Jude Law, that was the perfect genetically modified child, the perfect candidate for a position like this, but he had, I think it's a car accident or something like that, okay, and he's handicapped now, okay, so he can't be the pilot. So he's going to use his personality, he's going to use his DNA, he's going to use his blood samples, his, everything. So it's the whole movie about this idea. It's a really interesting movie. It's a really interesting discussion that, once again, in a situation like this, is gonna bring a lot of material to think about, okay, from the point of view of business ethics. And actually, it's a sci-fi movie that have aged really, really good. Okay, so it's perfectly okay to watch it now. So I guess it's somewhere in Netflix, HBO, Amazon Prime, somewhere you have to be, and it's a really, really nice watch. So I highly, highly recommend it. So please pause the video, go to Canvas, make some comments about the health and draft testing. What is your opinion on that? And then we can continue the class. So while you were away, my daughter came to give me this feather. Where is it? Here, right? So it's our pirate feather. We are playing a lot to be pirates lately. So yeah, that's happening. Okay, so thank you for answering that. I will be reading your comments on Canvas. It's hard for me to give an opinion on that. I know about the psychopathy, and this movie show us or invite us to think about how wrong that could be. But yet again, in a situation like the one that we are living right now, that kind of solution sounds like something that could help us to maybe recover part of the life that we had before all the whole thing exploded, before there is a vaccine developed. I don't know, it's hard to see it, so that's why I want to see about what you guys think about. Another part of privacy that have changed with time is not the same for you guys than it was for me when I was growing up. It's related to social media. Okay, here I'm talking about Facebook. I'm talking about, well, I guess you guys don't do Facebook that much, but it was the original one, you know. When I was in the States studying, like you guys were in Barcelona, that was 06. It sounds like ages ago, but it was 06. Facebook just was launched back in 06, actually. So my Facebook account is linked to my account in my American college, the one that I was studying there. We had no concern about what we were uploading to Facebook. You could upload all the weird pictures that you had over the weekend, and people would tag you, and with no control, and you know, it was to be careful, but it was just for fun. It didn't seem like anything hurtful. It was just something to use with your friends. But you know, things change, and now we are living in a different world, and you know, just Facebook. Think about any other social media. Think about Instagram. Think about is TikTok famous in the US? It's just It kind of was here in Spain, but now with the whole confining situation have grown exponentially. The TikTok thingy, like to do like short video with music and stuff. Well, think about all of those. So there is a small case, okay, that I want you guys to think about. So first, please go and check out this video. It's a YouTube link. It's about Facebook. You know how Facebook have been involved in different breaches. Actually, there is one group that's going to be talking about that, okay, about the situation in Facebook. So that's going to be interesting. When you have seen the video, go to Canvas and open this case of your face of Facebook. Think about Facebook, but also about any other social network, okay, not just focus on Facebook, because I know that probably you don't use Facebook that much anymore, okay. No, I mean, no one really use Facebook that much anymore, actually, especially if you don't want to feel really old. And then, like always, share your answers on Canvas in the discussion that you're gonna find there on Canvas. It's an individual work, okay, so just you guys can do it by yourself. All right, so let's pause the video game. Let's do all of that, okay, and then we can continue. Okay. Thank you. So as I was telling you, I mean, it's just totally different world for you guys than for me. I mean, you guys has been born and have grown with the whole idea about that you had to be careful about what you post on social media. So definitely it's not the same that happened to us, that we kind of went discovered little by little, no? I mean, for example, I remember by 2015 there was the creation of a new political party here in Spain that was that grew up pretty fast, and right now actually is governing the country along with another more traditional party, but then the government. I almost got into politics back then. So one of the things that I did was to erase my whole Twitter feed since the moment I had it. I think I had Twitter since 09, I think. Yes, 09, because recently have been my 11th year of birthday on Twitter. So I erased everything, because you know how that have been a thing, no? Like people bringing all tweets out of context, making a scandal out of that. We didn't know how to use Twitter, or at least Twitter at the beginning wasn't like Twitter it is today, what is this pit of hate, okay, that people get really mad and to send fake news and to discuss and to make you feel like you know more than the other people, no? But all right, we didn't know that was going to be the future of Twitter, so that was risky, okay. So I decided to erase everything just in case, okay. At the end, I didn't enter into politics, but who knows, okay? That could be something problematic, by the way. So I'm gonna be reading your comments. So thank you for that. The right to due process and layoff. Why this interesting? Well, as I told you, I normally skip that one, okay, because it's not that interesting for you guys, okay. It's also kind of obvious, this idea, but first I just brought it up because right now with this situation, for example, in Spain, there have been some new figures, new regulations when it comes to due process and layoffs, okay, to cope with this situation. For example, there have been a new figure. It's called ERTO in the Spanish symbols. It's like a temporary regulatory employment situation, something like that, okay. That will be the translation, more or less. So basically what it says that it's not that you are fired, it's that your contract is temporarily suspended due to this major force that is stopping you from working. For example, you are working in a restaurant, the restaurant is closed. Well, you are the bartender, then you can't work. So instead of firing you, the government have given the option to suspend your contract, and you suspend the contract, and you are going to receive the social aid that you normally receive when you get fired. That's 70% of your income, with a limit of €1,000 if you are single, 1,200 if you have one child, 1,400 if you have two child. So you're going to receive that. Okay, you're going to receive that. Even though you didn't work before, normally you are able to receive that up to, I think, 18 months. But in this situation, you're going to be able to receive it for as long as this situation is going on. Hopefully it won't be that long, okay? But yeah, if you are receiving it for 2 months, those 2 months don't count to take it from the 18 months that originally you will be able to receive it, okay? So it's a huge social package, okay, that is trying to help people that can't work to have this option to at least maintain the contract. Once the situation is over, then they will have to go back to their position with the same seniority and everything, all right? And well, it's a new package, okay, that have been thought especially for this situation. Or also, for example, the government right now is thinking in introducing a minimum personal income that everyone with no incomes will receive in the case the situation that they don't have a job before and they don't have any sort of income right now. So it's something that is happening right now, okay, to attack this specific situation. And all of that is made by law. I mean, in the US, for example, I guess you are aware, okay, that they have been a sad record with this situation. Is that the unemployment rate in the US have gone off the roof. No, I think it's more than 6 million people in the last month got fired. I don't know what is the situation that those people stay. I mean, I guess they have some sort of social aid or compensation package depending of their job, but not sure that there is something like federal, something like a national social aid. Also, if I'm correct, and you can correct me here, that will affect their health insurance, right? That could be also a problem. Not here in Spain. The fact that you don't have a job doesn't affect your capability to go to the hospital or whatever. But in the US, that is something concerning, and in a situation like this, something to think about. I'm sure that there are discussions about this already that can be analyzed from the point of view of business ethics. Let's continue. Excessive working hours and presenteeism. This for me is one of the major problems that we have in Spain, and that's why Spanish industry seems to be not that productive. We work too many hours. I mean, you know that we have we have this stereotype of being lazy or sleeping during the day, whatever. Okay, but the truth, the data is that we work, or at least we are in the office more hours than any other country in Northern Europe. Okay, more or less the same problem that in Italy, but we are in the office even more hours than in Italy. What's the problem here? Well, this idea of presenteeism. Okay, the idea that you are in the office, and since you know that you're gonna stay in the office for 10 hours, you don't hurry up to finish the job, right? I mean, you are at 9 a.m., you enter there, and you know you have to do this and that and that, but you're gonna stay there until 10, so you take it easy, maybe you go to have a coffee. Some of you guys that maybe have been in an internship, you have witnessed that, no? I mean, the coffee breaks, there are the social situation that goes around. Well, that for me is a problem to be beaten, okay? I mean, a problem that is kind of hard because when I try to implement, for example, in our company, even a system, okay, so you have to work 40 hours per week, let's make sure that you work 40 hours per week. So let's introduce a system to control time. not as a way to make sure that you work less. It's just for you, the worker, to make sure that you are not working more hours than you should. Well, even the workers itself protest, or they were reluctant to this idea. Okay, it's like, no, I prefer to be relaxed and take my time, take my hours. But it's like, but you have to be you have to have time for yourself. Okay, you have to have time to have a life outside of the job. Okay, so you have to change your mind that if you are finishing, you have to finish at 6 p.m. then you have to finish at 6 p.m. In different countries of Europe, there have been different attempts, different regulation to try to help people to develop a life after work. All right. This idea that probably is a cultural difference between that almost every intern witness when they are here from the US, like this idea that we don't live to work, we work to live. Okay, this whole idea. Well, they have a different regulation. For example, here you have an article from France. In France now, it is recognized the right to disconnect. Okay, for workers. So there is a law that forbids companies to send emails or phone calls or whatever to their workers during the weekend. They have the right to disconnect. Okay, so even though if it is forbidden to make calls, to send emails, etc., 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 they have the right to say, it's in my weekend, I'm doing nothing. How crazy that was, no? Because that's one of the huge problems that we have today with modern technology, with a smartphone like this and stuff. Okay, like you are always connected. That didn't happen in the past. Okay, you are always connected, and you say, no, it's a weekend, it's my time, I'm not gonna do it. But then you see the notification that there is a new email, because of course you have your work email linked to your account. So you see that of a client saying, I need this, I need that, whatever. It's really, it takes a lot of experience, it takes a lot of self-control, it takes a lot of probably having a good situation to say, no, I'm not gonna answer. I'm gonna answer Monday. Well, that's complicated. I understand that's really complicated. Okay, so in France they decided to protect it as a law. In Spain, for example, there was the regulation since last May, that forced every company in Spain to take control of the hours that the worker work. Why? Because they want to make sure that workers don't do extra hours. Because Spain, that's a problem, as I was telling you at the beginning. Workers do too many extra hours, and according to the Spanish regulation, the maximum amount of extra hours that workers should do over a year would be 80 hours over a year. Maximum, right? 80 extra hours, right? But the data show that people were doing way more and they weren't paid. Okay, so that was a problem. So to avoid that, now every worker in Spain had to check in, check out. So in the case that some technician from the government go to the company and ask them for their hours, they can check that they are working the hours that they are contracted to work. If they are working more hours, the company is gonna receive a sanction, a penalty for that. So there are different places to try to work in a situation that push people back to having a life beyond the work. But as I told you, it's a change of mind that even workers have to work really hard to do that. In our company, for example, right before the coronavirus crisis, okay, and now we're gonna see how this is gonna be exactly whenever we come back. But we decided to make a decision of bringing down the hours from 40 hours per week to 36 hours per week, and 36 hours with the same salary. Right? So 36 hours will be the full day. All right, the full day, like before it was 40 hours. In order to do that, we have received. At the beginning, some people were like, but how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do less hours with the same job? Well, we also are working team by team to ask them, okay, let's try to identify what are the tasks that you are losing more time. Let's try to make it more productive. Also decide to change your mind. Okay, so maybe if you are having a coffee every day and you are using 20 minutes to go have breakfast every day, maybe you can use 10 minutes for a quick coffee, and you can continue, etc., etc., etc. But it's a process, okay, that is hard to change. But I wanted to tell you that here, especially in Europe, countries like France and Spain, we are working toward that path. Flexible working parents, also interesting. Yes, there are a lot of problems about this, of course. Okay, and the flexible working parents and the liberalization of some regulations in Europe during these last 10 years, since the 07-08 crisis, have worked against workers. That is true. Okay, but once again, I wanted to make a few comments about this, okay, because this situation, for example, here in Spain, is teaching us that working from home is somehow possible. Really hard when you have a child. I mean, I must confess that my level of stress have before Easter, especially the 2 weeks before Easter, were like off the roof. Like you know how I have 2 jobs. I work in an office. I teach. And then I spend a lot of time with my daughter, etc. But trying to do the 3 things in the same place, in the same location, at the same time, well, it was kind of crazy. All right, but well, at least getting done with the classes, so there's going to be less stuff, and well, things are going well. But the real working from home, the fact that you are working in your house and you can have a meeting. I have been meeting with my office with these new apps like Zoom, I guess you know it, or Skype. Of course, it was more traditional. Well, all of that is possible. So, I mean, it's not like we're going to be working from home all the time, but to help, for example, to help those workers that to work 36 hours per week, maybe just 4 days per week instead of 5, to combining 1 day working from home so they can save time commuting to the workplace and going, to commute here in Barcelona is always at least 1 hour to go, 1 hour to go back. So it's a lot of time. So to combine the situation of working from home, being more flexible about it, is something that probably is we are going to hopefully win from this situation. No? It's an achievement that we're going to make from this whole situation, that working from home, when you don't have your child on top of you, it is perfectly possible. And sometimes it's even beneficial for the company. Freedom from conscience and freedom of speech in the workplace. Here, basically, what I want to discuss is this whistleblowing. I want you guys to watch this YouTube video, because we have talked about whistleblowing sometimes. Remember this case of the CEO of Olympus, of the cameras company. That was pretty interesting. Here there is a YouTube video to the most famous whistleblowers in the last years. Okay, some of them I guess you will know it, but I want you guys to know more about what it means to be a whistleblower, and how many times, especially like this, it's a really complicated matter. And also in this video there are some recommendations of some movies that talk about some of those cases. So please, let's pause and watch the video. Okay, so interesting, right? I mean, I thought it was interesting for you guys to know a little bit more about that. So let's enter in the final part. It's going to be the last part that we do for this class, as I told you. And as I told you, this is going to be connected with the case that I'm going to post for you guys to solve as a final exam. The ethical challenges of globalization. We have talked about this several times. Right, we have talked about the idea of globalization, and we have talked several times about the idea of the race to the bottom. How and you remember the documentary on the true cost. There was a pretty good example of that. I don't know if you remember. More or less at the beginning of the documentary, there was this guy. It was, I guess, the owner of one of these companies in Bangladesh, who was complaining. I mean, a company comes to me and they ask me to do it for $5. I'm like, okay, so $5. But then another guy one come to me and say, no, now you have to do it for four. So how are you gonna do it? Well, do whatever you want. If you don't do it for four, we leave and you don't have business. Well, that's a problem. That's what we call the race to the bottom, because it's these companies pushing and pushing and pushing these countries to liberalize the regularization, to make it even in a worse conditions. All right. This of course affect workers, and since we are talking here in chapter 7 about the ethical issues about employees, these affect international workers. You know, the growing mobility of workers is a recent phenomenon. I mean, take again the True Cost documentary. As you say at the beginning of the documentary, how the past like 30, 40 years ago, almost 100%, 95% of the clothes were by American people, were made in America. Today, it's something lower than 5% of the clothes that you wear that are actually made in America. So that's a huge change. I'm probably sure that someone close to you in your family, someone a friend of your family or whatever, have been affected by this delocation of jobs that have affected not just America, also many countries in Europe. But normally we are talking about north to south movement of production, but also there are other regions like the United Arab Emirates that are gonna witness a situation like this, or workers being attracted to particular industries in areas where there is no local labor, like mining, or for example here in Spain or in Germany. The fields attract a lot of foreign people. For example, a lot of people from Morocco especially are attracted to the south of Spain to recollect olives, to recollect strawberries, oranges, all those things that we are pretty huge producer, no? Or right now, for example, even with the whole confining situation, Germany is receiving thousands of people, especially from Turkey, to collect their crops, okay, and whatever they are harvesting. So that's an important factor. So the last thing that I'm gonna ask you, and that's gonna be like an introduction to the case that you're gonna be doing, is that you guys watch this video here that you have here on this link that talk about the situation of workers working on the stadiums for the World Cup, the soccer World Cup that will be held in Qatar in 2022, sorry, in 2 years. It's a pretty bad situation. Remember, in the guest speaker already mentioned that. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to watch this video, and it's gonna be the perfect introduction for the case that you're gonna have to analyze for as a final exam. Okay, so when you are done with this video, you don't have to pass it now. Okay, when you are done with the video, you can go ahead and watch the video. And that's it. All right, with this we have covered all that I wanted to talk about with this chapter 7. It's always a little bit shorter than other classes. Let me tell you, well, it was a pleasure to share the weirdest semester of my life as a student or professor, I guess for you guys as well. I hope just one thing that we can tell our grandchildren, but that's the only thing that we have to, the only time that we have to go through this and things go to normal. I truly really hope that all of you guys are healthy and your family, loved ones, okay, no one is affected by that, right? It was a pleasure. Also, I must confess, it was kind of fun to do this recording. Of course, I miss you guys and I miss interacting with you guys. You see how all this thing that we have been watching, especially in this second part of the class, is all really inviting to talk about. Okay, so well, we have lost that, but still we gained this experience. Okay, that I think it was actually pretty good. So I'll be watching your presentations. I will be excited to watch those. Okay. Also, I posted the instructions for how you have to deal with the presentations. So thank you guys. and please be safe. Bye.